And hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 34 of the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast on FingerLakes1.tv and YouTube, recorded live on Monday evening, August 3rd, 2015. I'm your host, Jim Sinacropi, alongside my co-host, the Big Easy, the Bobcat, Bob LaPrade. And we'll be talking with you for about the next hour, where we'll discuss Bob's problem with hitting irons too short. He's hitting his iron shots. He's taking out like a 9-iron. From 125, and normally, he'd hit that at least 10 yards farther. And he's hitting it, and it looks like he's hitting it well, but the ball comes up 10 yards short of the green, which effectively being like a 110-yard 9-iron, full 9-iron shot. Yep. So we're going to talk about that, and to help us do that, we have Turning Stone head professional Eric Lorenzetti in studio. Turning Stone also the host site last week for the New York State Men's Am. So Eric will tell us a little bit about that. Bobby's pick of the week, Shaft Wraps. He got one for his new driver. We'll tell you all about that. We got local golf news, a recap of the Quicken Loans National, and a preview of the World Golf Championships Bridgestone event. And for this week's Zen Tip, eliminate short-term anger. All right, well, happy to have into the show tonight head pro at Turning Stone Resort and Casino. 3 great golf courses there, actually 5 courses, 3 premier championship style courses, a great golf dome, and a huge golf superstore. Eric, how you doing? Welcome back to the show.
Jim, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Now, first of all, the course at the Men's Am, Kaluhyat, am I saying that right? I can never get it.
It's okay. It's actually pronounced Kaluhyat.
Kaluhyat, I got it. It's just a mental block. Kaluhyat, I've played it. So what was that like, being involved, and what was your level of involvement during that the New York State Men's Am last week?
Yeah, the men's amateur, it was a great event. They were with us for a few days. Actually, the Sunday prior to the championship, they actually had a last chance qualifier with about 36 to 40 players that played in that. Monday was their full practice round, and then the championship proper started on Tuesday with 18 holes, Wednesday with 18 holes, and then actually they have a cut, and then 36-hole final from there. So they're with us for a while. The State Golf Association is great to work with. We've worked other events, but nothing as prestigious as the men's amateur.
Sure, and a great champion in Trevor Sluman. Do you get, what do you turn that over to the New York State Golf Association when they come in, or what's your level of involvement as head professional when the New York State Golf Association comes to town with one of their major championships?
Yeah, absolutely. They, we work together. It's a long process. From the planning stages when we finally decided that Kaluhyat would be a great venue for it. Then from that point, as we get closer to it, our superintendent for the Kaluhyat golf course and his team, they communicate with the State Golf Association, a gentleman by the name of Andrew Hickey, who's the director of tournaments and all the competitions and rules, who's a great guy to work with. And so we all work together as a team. There's a lot of logistics that need to be taken care of as far as where players are going to register. They do split tee starts, which is a little bit of a challenge, being that the 10th hole on Kaluhyat is about as far away from the clubhouse as possible. We actually did it where we started them off holes 1 and 9, 1 and 8, which is a little bit different from time to time. So there's a large level of involvement every single day. They're long days. They start about 4:35 a.m. and the last golfers coming off the golf course typically probably about 7:30, and do it all again for the next day.
Well, we talked previously about how difficult, of course, Kaluhyat is, and how much the average amateur golfer might struggle on that course. And so naturally, when the New York State Men's Am was announced there, we were like, oh man, that's gonna be tough. But it shows what a great course it is, that when the better players get on there, they play some pretty good golf. And Trevor Sluman's a great champion to be produced this year from the event at Kaluhyat.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Kaluhyat is it's a beautiful golf course. It is certainly a challenge for the everyday golfer, but as well as the championship quality golfer as well. As far as how setups were and actually the conditions of the weather that week, it was an advantage in the morning each of the first 3 days actually, and then the wind started to blow. So, and you saw that in the scores. You have guys that shot 70, 71 if they had a morning tee time the first day, and then come out and shoot. Saw actually one guy go 72, I think 87.
Yeah, I noticed that too, looking through the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's a fine line, that's for sure.
Well, Eric, the great thing about having you in here today to help with Bobby's swing is, even though we're talking over the phone, you've played a lot of golf with Bob over the years, and so you're familiar with his game. As a matter of fact, you've probably done more in molding his game from an early standpoint when he just picked up the game than maybe anybody else in the world. And that includes his instructor who he went up to see in Victor or wherever it was, and then all the 18 instructors he's got online at Athlete Nation, or what's the name of that site, Bob?
Yeah, you got it right, Athlete Nation.
So I thought it would be great to bring you in, because Bob told me earlier this week, or last time we played, about how I've been playing with him. He struggles hitting wedges and short irons as long as he feels he should. And normally you might say, don't hit what you need to get there, but I mean, it's getting ridiculous, and it seems like no matter how much he clubs up, it's still going to come up short for some crazy reason.
Right.
So I want to help Bob, because I think he's a good player.
Work on the game a little bit more, myself included. We'd all be better players. But in that case, when the head of the golf club, especially with a shorter iron, starts to pass the hands, that's not a good impact position. So in most cases, you are going to catch a little thin, or think of the club face. Actually, the leading edge is working up into the sky, so you're actually adding loft to the golf club. With really good drills, one would be. Do you know an impact bag? You ever had an impact bag?
Mm-hmm.
Just feeding and leading your hands into that bag so that the hands are leading the way. At impact, one thing too, always looking at the grip just to be sure that all the hands are both hands are in the proper position. But getting the hands leading the way. Actually, even just a little chipping drill where the back of the left hand is leading towards the target is a great drill to do, just to kind of mimic that impact.
Eric.
What's that?
I was trying to tell Bob to forward press a little bit, in his address.
Absolutely.
And I think it brings up an interesting difference between maybe you or I, who've played golf since we were kids, thing or not. But I think when, I tried to ask Bob to forward press just, about a half inch to an inch in his setup, I think it kind of really makes him become discombobulated a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, sure. Bobby's always been, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, I mean, since day one, I always joke around about, the improvements he's made is unbelievable. So, I mean, we always tell the Angelo Bonifacio story, but, he was a true 40 handicap.
That's true.
To make that improvement, it was amazing. But one thing he is, because he's a computer guy, he's a tech guy, he's a data guy. Those are usually the toughest guys to teach, because they want an impact, especially these days. They want to know all their numbers. I always joke around at impact. The guy's looking at the launch monitor or the cradle on his putter or whatever that can give you that data. But at the same time, he's mechanical in that way. Bob, would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, his swing isn't that mechanical.
Beautiful
he's got
swing.
a lot of moving parts that all do our own way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting that way. But you're right, Jimmy, to a point. There's certain things when you just pick it up and it becomes, I don't want to say it becomes natural, but we had instruction, like
Right.
Sir Janik, Nikki, they gave us basic fundamentals and we had to stick with those. It's a little bit easier because there's a lot more swings involved in that, but it's different when you have to make a change like that. I can speak for myself. I've always one that had a weak grip for years, and I hit everything left to right. And actually, when I got in Wisconsin, took a couple lessons from the professional that I was working with, and sure enough, it was a complete overhaul. My grip's a heck of a lot stronger. My hands are fully ahead. It feels strange to this day, but the compression of the golf ball, I hit it a lot better with irons. I'm launching it higher. The ball comes off soft. Comes out with an iron really well when I do compress it. But I have my hands in a place now where it's leading the hands are leading the way, and not the club head. And that, to me, it sounds like, without you seeing hit a ball, Bobby, that as you said, you kind of said that flip.
Mm-hmm.
That the hands are passing the. The club head is passing the hands, and it's got to be the exact opposite.
Right.
So you mentioned two tips before I cut you off with my observation about Bobby's technical side. The first tip would be to use an impact bag and get your hands in front. What's the second tip?
Yeah, just the second tip would be
Or drill, I should say.
There's so many different, if you like, analogies. I talk about the back of the hand, just those little pitch shots, or that chipping motion.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mini swing. Another thought is just similar to the impact bag is you almost take a 2x4. You're not taking a swing, and you put it right up against the face of the club, and basically all you do is you just push with your left hand that board with the club head.
Mm-hmm.
So the hands are leaning forward. If you try to flip, you're going to lift that 2x4 up in the air.
Right.
And you don't want to do that. You want to push it just along the ground. And a lot of it is just, I think the one thing, too, is just going back to being conscious of what your hand position is, as you said, Jimmy, a little bit. It's a big change at times. I know, like I said, for me personally, I always had my hands even or even behind the ball. If you remember, years ago. To this day, I still have to force my hands forward. It feels awkward at times, but you just have to continue to do it because that it's a better ball striking position. If you look at all the film and all the different players all over the world, their impact position is all the same. You never see anybody going in the other direction. That's why they hit the iron so far.
Yeah, lots of variables,
Actually.
in PGA Tour Pro swings,
Mm-hmm.
but when you stop at an impact, they all have those hands slightly ahead of the ball
Right.
and the club head driving down through the ball.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, one other question, too. Have you been taking divots, and if so, deep, thin, what are they?
Very rarely take a divot. Not enough to even tell you what type of divot.
Yeah. So once again, we want to take a little bit of divot. Now, I'm not saying get too steep because you can lose distance there. That's one of there's
Right.
three factors to hitting a golf ball far with any club. One is club head speed. That's what everybody thinks. I just got to swing faster. Well, a mile an hour is basically 3 yards.
Right.
And for people to swing faster, you're usually going to miss something else.
Mm-hmm.
The second factor is center face contact,
Mm-hmm.
which everybody can always work on. And the third thing is angle of attack into the golf ball. And, everything that's come to the forefront in the last probably 5 to 10 years with launch monitors or drivers. Well, the same thing holds true with a wedge. If I'm too steep into the golf ball, that ball's going to spin even a lot more than what it should.
Right.
Losing distance and going from there. It's that ball once again rolling up the face. So, yeah, we want to take a divot, but at the same time, I can't take a divot if my hands aren't leading the way.
Right.
Another good drill too is hitting balls, just wedges. Take that divot, and then put the ball just in front of the divot, and just try to make a divot line, further in front of that divot. Because now it's just going to, once again, try to force you. It gives you a visual to see where you're actually taking that divot. More than anything else. So.
Gotcha.
All right, Eric.
My other question.
Yep, go ahead.
I got one more question. Where do I send the bill?
You can send that to fingerlakes1.com.
Care of Bob LaPrade.
L something I know is your member number down there, and I guarantee before the summer's out that there might be
L121.
some orange juice and some Fresca involved, and maybe something else. So.
Charge it all to L121.
Yep.
Or whatever it is.
Right.
L104 probably still works. Not going to my address, so that's good.
Oh, well, I've been charging to that for years since you've been gone. Nobody asked any questions.
Hey, if it's going to Chapel Street, that's fine with me. Doesn't come to me.
Hey, anything going on up there before we let you go at Turning Stone?
It's just for us. It's business as usual. I mean, we still got. We're hoping a good, August, September, and October. Our great thing for local golf is the 36-hole deal, and hoping our guys are going to come up again and
we are in September.
Do that. And hopefully, I get to play with you guys this year.
Nice, yeah.
You can play Shenandoah or Kaluhyat with a TS Rewards card for $120, and then you can replay it at Junio for another $100. So for $220, you can play two top 100 golf courses that are rated by Golf Digest. So
Junio, the finest, honestly, among the finest manicured golf courses you could ever play. I mean, you reach a level of perfection, and you can't go any higher. Right. I mean, there might be a couple more courses worldwide that are on that level, but it is unbelievable. We love it. We love going up there.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a neat place. I've just played 18 holes today for the first time since I played with you guys at Enjoy, and I was fortunate enough to play 18 with a couple of guests who were touring who wanted to see the facility and get a tour of the place, and so they asked me to do that. So absolutely, so we did that, and it's in great shape. So it's just a neat place. It really is. To think years ago when we were all just beating around at Seneca Falls that a place like that would exist an hour away. I would have said no way. So.
Or we could have said that you'd be the head pro there.
You got all the
that would have been a
deals. Sorry, but it's hopefully, like I said, we got another good couple of months of golf in us, and we'll go from there.
Fall golf's the best. Well, Eric, thanks again for calling in, and hopefully we'll be together out in the links again soon, and we'll give you an update on Bobby's progress, because we're all very interested in Bob's golf game.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially me.
Excellent. Well, hey, I look forward to seeing you guys soon, and thanks again.
All right, Eric. Have a great night. Thanks
Thank
again.
you, Eric.
Yep.
So there you go. Eric Lorenzetti, head pro at Turning Stone Golf and our casino and resorts. And that isn't a fantastic deal.
Yeah.
The cost to play a Dunio just once is about the same as the cost to play the 36 under that deal. So we've gone up there a couple times, and this year we might bring 12 guys.
Yeah.
In September.
Yep.
So how about the old PGA Tour update for the week, Bob? I got take a listen to this.
34.5 feet uphill and left to right. There's the strike. Ball starts out to the left. It's peeling right. This could it be? He finishes with an exclamation point. Raises the cap, acknowledges the huge gallery. Troy Merritt, 18 under par. We salute you. Just outside of our nation's capital, you are the 2015 Quicken Loans National Champion. Somebody credit that guy with 500 FedEx Cup points.
Troy Merritt wins at the Quicken Loans National. Runaway victory, really, down the stretch. His first career PGA Tour win. He missed 5 straight cuts and hasn't hit a top 50 since April. shoot 61 on Saturday, 67 on Sunday. And now, instead of heading to Reno, Nevada for the Barracuda Championships, he'll be in Akron, Ohio for the World Golf Championships. And then following that, Kohler, Wisconsin for his first major ever.
Yep.
I mean, congratulations to that kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I was reading an article this morning that he said he found a couple things. He made a couple setup changes, and everything started to click for him.
Yep, and then...
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. That's the crazy thing about golf.
Yeah.
You know, you can have it one day and or not have it the next day, and that's the mystery of it.
Or, you know, the setup changes he was describing were kind of minute, you know, from a golfer's perspective.
Yeah.
But it made a huge difference for him in his game.
From missing the cut to winning the tournament. And sometimes I guess it's not necessarily that small swing change could just give him the confidence, you know, to just, it's just amazing, and it shows what a fine line, you know, there is on the PGA Tour between, you know, making it and not making it.
Right.
You know, an interesting stat from the weekend, Merritt's average proximity to the hole was 23 feet 11 inches, and it was the best mark in 2015 by a winner, by over 3 feet.
Wow.
So it just shows how well he played, how above average he played, and really coming from out of nowhere. And just amazing, because we do the golf, or the DraftKings, you know, .com stuff, and you know, nobody was looking at Troy Merritt.
No.
Well, somebody was. Whoever had him probably had a good shot at the big prizes, but
Right.
it's a feel-good story when something like this happens.
For sure. For sure.
Life-changing for him. And
Hopefully he can build upon that confidence and bring it into the, you know, PGA Championship.
yeah, and Bridgestone. Yeah, that's the other crazy thing about life on the PGA Tour is that 1 minute you're not qualified for the two biggest events over the next 2 weeks, and then the next minute you're going to both. And
Right.
there's a $9 million purse at the Bridgestone and another giant purse at the PGA, and they're both, you know, next level events.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he just edged out Ricky Fowler by 3 strokes. Ricky Fowler making a late charge to finish second. And David Lingmerth came in at third. And Justin Thomas playing well, minus 12. Danny Lee is just fantastic.
Yeah.
He ties for fourth. His third straight top 10.
Yeah, he's playing really, really well right now.
Bill Haas in there at minus 12. He really had a good chance to win. He fell back. And Justin Rose, a late double bogey, took him out of contention. He finishes at minus 12 as well, along with Carl Pedersen and Jason Bone. Ryo Ishikawa rounded out the top 10 this week. And somebody who also missed the top 10 this week but finished 19th, Tiger Woods.
Yep.
Everybody's getting a little stoked, thinking that, you know, this means Tiger's back. And I've said it before, you know, he's a 250th world ranked player, 250th best player in the world. Does shoot a couple, you know, rounds in the 60s every now and then.
Yeah.
But again, you know, put himself in contention Saturday and fell way back. And it was his second top 20 finish since September 2013. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And to Tiger's credit, he just needs to make one more cut to hit 300 career cuts made, and he's only made 325 starts.
Yeah.
And
That's pretty impressive. I
yeah.
want to guess that.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing stat.
Yeah.
And especially when you consider this year, he's probably missed what? He's probably made 3 or 4 cuts and missed 6 or 7, maybe.
Yeah.
So, do I think Tiger's back? No. I mean, he's not even going to the Bridgestone. He's not invited. He didn't earn his way in.
Right.
So he's not even in that group of elite golfers that would play in these World Golf Championship events. And then all of a sudden he's going to go to the Whistling Straits, and I just can't see him competing against these guys.
Right.
I can see him maybe, you know, having a couple rounds, putting him somewhere near contention, but I can't see him closing against these guys.
Well, you know, one of the things is we're starting to see where Tiger's not even making it to some of these tournaments. Maybe he wouldn't have played it anyway if he was invited. Who knows?
Oh, yeah? Well.
But he's fallen so far off the radar that over time, tournaments that he may want to play in, he may not be able to.
Yeah, like this one. They don't give sponsors exemptions to these World Golf Championship events. You only earn yourself in. The same thing with the majors.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
He'll always have
WGC, so yeah.
He'll always have a chance to play at the Fry's Open, I'm sure, if he wants, or the why surprising he doesn't go play at the Barracuda this week, the alternative to the Bridgestone.
You mentioned a lot of people are getting stoked too, and statistically, if you look at it, he's not on the upswing yet.
No.
Although he did have good play, he's not statistically on the upswing. Just like Troy Merritt can win this week, Tiger could maybe have a good showing this week, but next week it could be
or win. There's always that chance.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
I think Troy Merritt's better than Tiger Woods now by far.
One-on-one that'd make a great, classic shootout at the Bighorn, right?
Merritt versus Woods?
Yeah, why not? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and of course, Tiger shot under par for 4 rounds at the Greenbrier, and then went to the U.S. Open and got crushed, and then he played well again. Or made the cut at the tournament before the Open. What was that? The Travelers or something. Yeah. And then he went to the Open and missed the cut by 7.
Right.
And so, I predict the same thing. He's going to go to the PGA and he's going to miss the cut. And if he does happen to make the cut, there's a big number waiting for him on the weekend.
I just to be, I'm not a Tiger hater. I think he's good for golf, but I just don't see it happening yet.
Yep.
I just don't. I don't see it's going to happen.
Well, something that is definitely happening is some changes to the PGA Tour schedule in 2015-16. There's a schedule of 47 FedEx Cup tournaments, which includes several notable date and golf course changes. I'm going to tell you all about them right now, Bob. The 2016 Olympic Games in Rio have moved the PGA Championship up to July, the 25th and 31st. So major championship season in golf is over at the end of July next year. And then you'll have the Olympics.
So when's the British going to be? Are they going to be
British
2 weeks apart?
Yeah, I think they are because they've moved the Bridgestone, which is this weekend's tournament, to June 27th.
Wow.
Through July 3rd, and then they also shuffled around the Greenbrier and the Travelers.
Now, what's
the Deer?
Speaking of the Olympics, what's the process? What's the United States process to make the Olympic team? Do they have a process established, or?
They do. I can't remember off the top of my head who. Spieth, obviously. I think it's between Spieth and Bubba Watson, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah,
is it a points rating or something?
It is. They have a system. You earn your way on. Earn your way on. And that'll certainly be interesting to see. It's hard to get too excited about golf in the Olympics because we already have every major tournament is an international affair.
Right. Yeah.
So, we'll see what it means to these guys to go for Olympic gold, I suppose. But I'm not so sure how pumped I am.
I'm guessing it's medal play. I don't know. I don't know how they decide that.
This is the second time, or the first. This will be the second time that golf's been in the Olympic Games, and I think that it was just medal play.
Okay.
But we'll look into that and give you more information on that next week. For now, a couple more changes. The Quicken Loans National that just concluded will be back at Congressional. That tournament now has a course rotation. The U.S. Open will be at Oakmont. The Open at the British Open at Royal Troon, and the PGA will be at Baltusrol. At FedEx playoffs, the Barclays moves to Bethpage Black.
Wow,
that's awesome, huh?
Yeah, yep.
And the BMW will be at Crooked Stick. Again, those are some course rotations there going on. The Barclays was at Bethpage in 2012. And the new title sponsor of the World Golf Championships match play event used to be Accenture and then maybe something else. Now it's Dell.
Wow.
So, and then finally, one last note here on this week's PGA news. DraftKings pool winner for the podcast pool is me. For the second week in a row.
Nice.
So while I'm sitting back living the high life off
Living
of
large.
Bobby's and Rhett's money,
You're living large.
my team, Ricky Barnes, Jason Bone, Danny Lee, Russell Knox, Brendan Steele, and Sean Stefani. Next week, it's the WGC Bridgestone Invitational and also the Barracuda Championship running concurrently, which is the only Stableford scoring event of the year on tour. But looking at that field for the Bridgestone, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
One person that's not going to be there, Rory Mcilroy. Although he is going to play a practice round at Whistling Straits on Saturday, which will be his first time on a golf course that we know about since he was out for injury. So the number one player in the world not at the Bridgestone this week. Hey, subscribe and like the Finger Lakes Golfer podcast on YouTube or click the thumbs up button below. We'd really appreciate that if you didn't mind, if you're enjoying yourself. We're on iTunes, audio-only version, Stitcher.com, and the FingerLakes1.com app at the Android or Apple Store. All of these links, our latest episodes, and complete archives are online at FingerLakes1.tv/golfpod. And that, my friends, brings us to Bobby's Pick of the Week. Okay, Bob, what do you got?
This week I've got shaftwraps.com. So if you want to customize your clubs,
That
driver-
shaft's not the shaft the way it came.
No.
Yeah, you put a wrap on it.
Yep, I put a wrap on it. It's I went with a black wrap. It's normally the shaft is silver, but and it was very easy to install. It has an adhesive backing. You put it on. It's kind of tapered, and you put it on. You just take your time and you make sure there's no bubbles in it and that kind of stuff. And which sometimes can be kind of difficult to do that kind of thing with adhesive backed coverings, but it went very well. I was pretty happy with it. The one thing I did do is in the directions they tell you to peel back your grip, but I was going to change my grip anyways. And then when I put it in the vise, I had the vise a little too tight, so it kind of marred it up a little bit. But you could hardly tell. You can't even hardly see it. But it was very easy to install, and you can customize it with all different colors and graphics. If you visit shaftwraps.com, you can see all the different products they have to offer to customize your clubs.
Yeah, they do have some different combinations of colors and styles. You got solid colors. You got a National Pride collection, Team Colors collection, which is just a variety of different colors. It's not logoed usually.
Right. And they have like a video that shows you how to apply it, which is, it's pretty simple. When you get the product in the mail, it even has like little simple instructions how to apply it. It's not bad. And if you want to, it can get a little pricey if you want to do everything in your bag. I think it was like $14.95 I paid for this shaft wrap. But if you just want to do your driver, if you want to do your wedges or something like that, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how it works out after some time.
Right.
Because it seems to me almost like it's like tinted window tinting stuff type of deal,
Right,
where that stuff might look good if you're really careful and get it on just right, but over time it starts to deteriorate. It'll be interesting
maybe
to see.
peel or something, or if it gets wet. We'll see. What I was impressed with is I thought the seam might leave like a really distinctive mark where you could see the seam.
Yeah, that's what
But
I
you
was
can't.
wondering. And how
Can't
is
see
that? You just massage it in? Or
You can feel it, but
you can't see it.
You can't see it. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out over time. maybe we can revisit it next year and see how it handled the weather and the wet and those kind of things.
Yeah. Okay, so that's shaftwraps.com.
Yep.
About $15, right, for a
Yep.
shaft wrap.
Right.
And they got a 30% off deal if you order, what is it, 3?
Yeah, I think so. 3. Yep.
1 for each wood. Has it got to be a driver? How do you size it to the shaft?
You can cut it as the shaft wrap comes in. Let's say you're doing a wedge, you can cut it to the right length that you want to use.
Wouldn't work on a steel shaft, would it?
Yo, sure.
Oh, would it?
Sure, yeah, sure it would. I would recommend that you clean the shaft well before you do it, just to make sure the adhesive sticks. Make sure you don't have any, whatever on the shaft that would keep the adhesive from sticking. But it's just my recommendation.
There it is, Bobby's pick of the week.
Yep.
Shaft wraps. Hey, looking at some local golf news here. After heading into the final round at the prestigious Porter Cup, University of Texas rising junior and Pittsburgh Mendon graduate Gavin Hall ended up finishing third. After 13 holes of the final round, he held a one-stroke lead, but after a lengthy weather delay, he came out and bogeyed 14 and 15 to finish at -9. Central New York PGA update. Last week, it was Kevin Savage and Eric Manning splitting first place at the Turning Stone Pro-Am Series event number 4 at Radisson Greens in Baldwinsville. They shot -3. Joel Dieter, Trey Walewski, and Nick Serafino tied for third at -2. And there was no event this week on the Central New York PGA. Next week, the senior pro individual at Vestal Hills Country Club. And hey, male golfers over the age of 25 in the Rochester District Golf Association, the 2015 RDGA Mid-Amateur Championships coming up on August 14th and 15th. Hosted by the beautifully renovated Deerfield Golf and Country Club in Brockport under new ownership over the past couple of years. They've made some major investments and changes over there at Deerfield, and they're hosting the RDGA, the Rochester District Mid-Am. Through the first 4 matches of the Rochester District Golf Association Boys Junior Championship at Oak Hill Country Club's West Course, Jack O'Donovan blitzed his way through the competition. And in Thursday's Junior Championship final match, the young Country Club of Rochester member didn't let up, completing a 7-6 victory over Locust Hill's Gavin Simon. So congratulations, Jack O'Donovan. Holes in one this week. Greg Rickard used an 8-iron to score a hole-in-one in the 120-yard 6th hole at Sodus Bay Heights. Man, I thought that hole's longer than 120. He must have been playing the front tees. Linda Ensign used a 6-iron to ace the 115th yard 6th hole at Sodus Bay. Yeah, they're playing that's the same hole. They're playing up front. 115 for Linda Ensign, probably playing the women's tees. Greg Rickard, 120. I don't know. They got senior tees over there. That's a 5-yard difference is all.
Right.
Phil Harrison aced the 177-yard 4th hole at Wayne Hills. And over at Ravenwood, Dan Heeb used a 7-iron to ace the 150-yard 8th. John Boyle got a hole-in-one on the 164-yard 18th hole at Tuscarora Golf Club using an 8-iron. And also at Tuscarora, Mike Nathan aced the 171-yard 8th hole using a 7-iron. And Dan Bannell used a 5-iron to score a hole-in-one at the 191-yard 11th hole at Lakeshore. Send us your hole-in-ones to contact at fingerlakes1.com, subject line FLX Golfer. We will read them on the air. Which brings us to our final segment of the night. It's time for our Zen Tip of the Week.
Zen Tip of the Week.
Okay, for the Zen Tip of the Week this week, Bob, I've been over my career, my life, from a youngster golfing to now, I used to get really angry on the golf course, and I've got that under control now where I don't get too mad. But I've noticed the past few rounds that I do get really mad for about 5 seconds after a bad shot, 5 to 10, 15 seconds maybe, where I'll hit a bad shot and I'll immediately yell at myself or curse. And, then maybe after I'm walking to the cart, I'm still really mad. And I think I got to back off of that a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like a unconscious jerk reaction. I just got to stop it because I tell you, I get so mad for that short period of time, it can't help but throw you off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think if you really love golf, you got to love the bad shots as much as, well, not as much. You got to love the bad shots as well as the good. Because without the bad shots, the good shots wouldn't be as good. And without the bad shots, golf wouldn't be that much fun if everybody was just hitting good shots all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the approach I'm taking, is that bad shots are going to happen. And just don't get mad when they do. It's inevitable. Just watch it happen and say, man, that was a bad shot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't see you get angry after a bad shot often. Sometimes
No.
you get a little dejected. You have a dejected look,
Right.
but not necessarily a
Well,
anger.
I have a different outlook at it, and I see it with a lot of players. Sometimes I see it with you is why waste that energy?
Yeah, I get mad. I get as mad in those first 5 or 10 seconds as I ever have been mad in a golf course. But for some reason, I've learned to, after I've recognized how mad I am, to just forget about it and go on to the next shot. But I legitimately get very angry for that short period of time.
Yep.
And I'm going to work on not getting that angry.
Well, my thought process is that when you get mad, you induce stress into your nervous system. There's probably better ways to describe it.
There's chemicals going on.
Yeah, and that has to lead on to the next shot. It has to. I don't care if you say, I only get mad for 5 seconds. I think it lasts longer than you think it does.
Right, the physiology of it all.
Yeah, and my thought process has always been, and when I first started playing golf, I used to get mad too. But my thought process, as soon as that ball leaves the club, there's nothing you can do after that. Everything you did before that to prepare for that shot, up to the point there's no sense in getting mad, because if you're gonna get mad before the shot, because you didn't prepare, right? You just weren't ready. You or whatever. There's no sense in losing all that energy or expending that. Put all that energy into thinking and performing the next shot.
Yeah, that's great way to put it, and I certainly, with all Zen tips, or any advice that Dr. Joseph Parent gives in his book Zen Golf, it's easier said than done.
Oh yeah.
You read it and you say, "Oh yeah, that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm just going to start doing this stuff he talks about. I'm going to be Zen out there."
Right, yeah.
A lot easier said than done. And here I am thinking I'm some Zen guy, and I realize that I get really mad after hitting bad shots. I snap out of it and go back on with my life. Don't let it ruin my day. But I get mad. I'm not. That's something I need to continue to work on. So.
Right.
Wednesday night, when I'm on the golf course, I am going to try very hard not to get angry when I hit a bad shot, and because I know now it's inevitable. There will be bad shots. I don't know how many. I think it'll be easier to not get bad. Well, you know what? If you're playing great and then all of a sudden on the last tee you hit a really bad shot, that's almost harder. It's almost harder not to get mad there than it is if you're hitting like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bad shots throughout the round.
Right.
And it's also difficult, I think, if you're just playing horribly and every shot you hit is bad. It's tough not to get really mad at some point. But that's this kind of stuff I'm going to work on.
Well, I think it's okay to be disappointed. I think it's okay to hit a shot which you view may as been poor, but you got to learn to forget it really, really quick, and move on to the next shot. Maybe even I don't think it's a bad thing to even try to identify what you did poorly in that shot or what you could have done differently from the time till you get your next shot. But once you start preparing for your next shot, you gotta forget what happened earlier. Yeah. And I think I'm really, really good at that.
Oh, no doubt.
I think I'm very,
doubt.
very good at that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter if it's the club championship qualifier or
Right.
if it's a regular old round on Sunday morning. It just doesn't matter. You seem to be really good at that.
I have a very short-term memory when it comes on the golf course.
Well, that's a good way to be. That's something I'm going to try to get a little better at coming here because, Bob, I've been playing pretty good golf. And here's a crazy thing about golf, and the frustrating thing, because right about now, this time of year, sometimes it's not that I get tired of playing golf because I love playing golf. I'm going to play as much as I can while the summer, as long as the summer and fall lets me. But you get a little fatigued, I think. And the fatigue doesn't come from actual golfing and saying I'm getting sick and tired of golfing. It comes from the fact of you put so much into it by this time of the season, and you want to keep getting better and better. And sometimes you take steps back, and it's just like, oh my God, you got to come back and go at it again. It's where in the spring you're out in the course. If you play bad, you got the whole season ahead of you. And so what happened to me was, last week I played twice during the week, and then I played in the member guest tournament on Saturday, and then Sunday I played a lot of golf the past week. Wednesday night I shot a 72. And I was feeling obviously great about that. That was my lowest score in a couple years. And then I came back out on Friday and had a match lined up, and I double bogeyed the second hole. Kind of bad luck. I was in a bunker on my second shot, and the bunkers weren't raked, and it was just hard, and I had a downhill lie, and I made a double. And I still was able to hold on and shoot a 74 or 75. What was it? It was one of those two.
Somewhere around there.
So, hey, and I was really happy because that was a verifying round. You shoot a really good score. I don't get too excited about it unless I can come out and show that it wasn't like a fluke. So then the very next day I play in the member guest. Same golf course, except now we're playing the white tees, which, as you know, there's a couple holes, especially the par 3s and par 5. Actually, there's a lot of holes where that makes a big difference. Hole 6 it becomes a long par 4. It's a par 5 from the blues is tough to reach, but from the whites it's real easy to reach, and the par 3s are shorter irons, and hole 4, the toughest hole on the course, is a 40-yard difference. So I'm like, okay, 72, 75, member guess white tees. Let's see how low we can go. And shot an 82. Come back out the next day on Sunday for our normal Sunday morning group, and shot an 80. I really hit the driver pretty bad, but I did everything else pretty good and felt a lot better. But 4 rounds. The one on the easiest course set up by far, I shot the worst. And it's, I don't know why these things happen. I mean, I don't understand it. I really had it where I thought I was going to. I wouldn't, if you asked me after Friday, when I walked off the 18th green, if I would ever not break 80 again in my whole life, I probably would have said, I got this game, It's, But,
Well, I think some of us, as amateur golfers, we're kind of hard on ourselves because we hold ourselves to the standards that we see on TV every Sunday, right? So we see these PGA pros coming in, and every Sunday it's the top 10 is different for the most part. You have your Spieths who are very, very hot now, McIlroy who's very hot when he is playing, and we hold ourselves to those standards. When if you take the guys that are PGA Pro journeymen, they're up and down, right? Just like we are. They have great rounds and they have bad rounds, and sometimes their great round is on Friday and their bad rounds on Saturday, or vice versa. We don't get to see that because the coverage is covering the guys who are hot at the moment.
And even the best players in the world, which the top 100 FedEx guys. They don't play good every time they go out. Even when they're in contention in a tournament, there's 1 or 2, really good rounds, and then one, round probably not so great, and then another average round. But it's very difficult, even at that level, to play good golf every time you go out. And I say, that's part of the allure of the game. That's part of the stuff that keeps you coming back, and that's part of the reason there's so much instruction out there, because no matter who you are,
Right.
you can always do better. And like I said, I'm thinking on Saturday I'm going to shoot under par. I'm going to tear this course up. And next thing you know, miss a couple short putts, might start getting shaky with my driver, and then it wouldn't matter if I played the ladies' tees. I probably wouldn't have broken 80
Right.
on Saturday. So, well, I don't know. Yeah, probably not. It's
And, I just think we're tough on ourselves as amateurs because of what we see on TV. If TV coverage covered the guys that are in the middle of the pack every week, we'd say, "Oh, okay, that guy does struggle."
Yeah, that's true. For me though, it's I don't necessarily think like I would have the same expectations if I'm playing a different course. But at our home course, I know all the shots that I got to hit in a row around that golf course to shoot that type of score, and then it comes how if you make a few putts or if your short game's on or off, and I just know I can do it because I've done it so many times before. It's just consistently doing it. Like I hit my driver incredible on Wednesday, and then on Sunday, less than 5 days, about 4 days later, I may hit 2 fairways.
What changed?
I'm pretty sure I know what changed now looking back on it. I think I just wasn't too armsy. I wasn't making a full turn, which is something so stupid, but I know that's what it is.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So.
It's golf for you.
Yep. Well, Bob, thanks for hanging out. I know you're not feeling too good today. You got a little bit of a cold. Hopefully that shakes off, but thanks for toughing it out coming up here.
No problem.
Thanks to Eric Lorenzetti for calling in from about an hour, 20 minutes east on the Thruway, head pro at Turning Stone. And next week, Brett DeConey will be back in studio.
Nice.
And he's going to help us review some Link Soul, sent us some nice products. I actually got one of the T-shirts on right here. Very, very comfortable. We're going to talk about the golf shirts.
Yep.
I wore one for 36 holes, and we'll talk all about that. And then we'll also preview the season's final major at the PGA Championship. The Bridgestone will be behind us, too. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'm looking forward a lot to next week's episode. So, like I say, Bob, hope you feel better.
And thank you.
And remember, subscribe to the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast. We're online at fingerlakes1.tv/golfpod. Email us, contact@fingerlakes1.com, subject line FLX Golfer. Send us your photos, videos, and events. Want to mention real quick, too, there's a 2-man tournament coming up at Trumansburg. We'll have more information on that on next week's show. You can check out their website, too, for more information on that. But it's a 2-day, 2-man tournament down there in Trumansburg. So we hope you had a great time hanging out with us here for episode number 34 of the Finger Lakes Golfer Podcast. We'll be back live next Monday night at 9 p.m. Until then, hit 'em long, not often.
Support great local content like this by becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com